The Kinhank Super Console Mini PC seems like an incredible deal. It's built on a B-Link Mini PC foundation that can run both Windows 11 and Linux for 𝐷𝐷𝐻 front end. And the games, my goodness, the games. 100 plus emulators and 61,000 games included. But premium value comes at premium cost, and the question remains, should you buy it? Stay tuned, the answer lies within. Special thanks to friends of the channel 𝐘𝐎𝐒𝐑𝐂𝐿 for providing this Kinhank Super Console Mini PC for review so we could all check it out together. Be sure to visit their website at 𝐘𝐎𝐒𝐑𝐂𝐿 for some great gaming products. This Kinhank Super Console package comes with the B-Link GK series Mini PC and a controller that's wired for USB. Specifications listed on the box include Intel Gemini Lake CPU, 8 GB of memory, a 128 GB M.2 drive, 802.11ac Wi-Fi and Gigabit Ethernet, and a small external 24-watt power adapter. The front of the unit has two USB 3.0 ports, a USB-C port, which is a welcome addition, headphone 3.5mm port, and a power on-off button with LED lighting. Both sides have decorative patterns on them, and it kinda looks like it would be a place where air ventilates out of the console, but it doesn't. It actually ventilates out of the back. And you can actually see that here along with a plethora of great ports. Two USB 2.0 ports, two Gigabit Ethernet ports, two HDMI ports, and a barrel plug adapter port. The Mini PC case is made out of plastic, and the top has a little bit of flex to it as you can see here, but it's certainly strong enough to hold up to everyday PC computing duties. 4 small Phillips head screws on the bottom of the unit allow you to take the bottom door off and give you access to the system's internals. Inside the PC, you'll find a 2TB SATA hard drive, 2.5 inches, that has a Linux build with all of the games and emulators on it. It's connected to the PC motherboard by a single ribbon cable. The M.2 drive is located underneath this white rectangle, which I believe to be a thermal pad. And RAM is located at the bottom. Remember how I mentioned earlier that it had 8 GB of total system memory? I removed the memory stick and flipped the board around so you could take a closer look at this. It actually only has one RAM slot on the motherboard. And another important note is that one stick of RAM is only single channel laptop memory. And the CPU on the motherboard is a refreshed Intel Gemini Lake J4125 chip with integrated UHD 600 Intel graphics. And about that wired USB controller that's included, it's kind of the equivalent of an Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 style controller. The controls feel pretty good on it, and I'd have to say, it ain't bad. If you connect a USB keyboard to your mini PC and boot it up holding the F7 key, you can choose which drive and which operating system you'd like to boot. The computer's pre-configured to boot Linux and 𝐷𝐷𝐻 from the 2TB SATA drive, or you can choose to boot from the 128 GB M.2 drive and load Windows 11. Let's do that first so that we can run some benchmark tests. This is a Game System Mods and Emulation channel, and we're all here to see what this thing can do with emulation. But don't let it be lost on you that this is a competent Windows 11 PC. It's got 4K at 60Hz output through its HDMI, and it can drive 2 monitors simultaneously. Inside File Explorer, if you go to this PC, right-click, and select Properties, you can get a better look at what's going on under the hood here. And you'll find out a little more information about that included processor. It's an Intel Celeron-based chip, 64 bits, and clocked at 2 GHz. You'll also find the 8 GB of system memory listed, along with a 64-bit copy of Windows 11. The 2TB SATA hard drive performed about as expected. 125 MB per second read speeds and 122 MB per second write speeds. The M.2 drive performed much faster at 508 MB read speeds and 329 MB write speeds. Admittedly, I found that to be a little disappointing. Most contemporary M.2 drives can read and write at least 2,000 MB per second, and that's on the low end. I'm not sure if the drive itself or the access port on the motherboard is responsible for the slower speeds. The Geekbench scores for this CPU are about what you would expect: 407 for single core and 1454 for multi-core. And the overall OpenCL score for the computer clocked in at 1,660. Wired internet connection speeds are fantastic on my gigabit-enabled internet network, coming in at 674 megs download and 39 megs upload speeds. But the wireless speeds are definitely hampered here. Connected to the same network and on wireless connectivity in the same room, I only managed to get 244 megs of download speed, but I did still get the 38 upload speed. It looks like the wireless internet adapter inside this PC can only hit the 2.4 GHz band on my wireless router, which is disappointing for a contemporary device like this. Alright, enough of the Windows benchmarking. Let's go play some games in Linux. Boot this machine normally, and you'll see the 𝐘𝐈𝐍𝐊𝐒 logo, then the Batocera logo, and then it will boot into the main Batocera interface. And this is where the magic happens, because you're going to get access to over 100 different systems and emulators, and 61,000 plus ROMs, all available on that single 2 TB hard drive in this system. I'm scrolling through the systems here on the wheel to the left so that you can take a look at everything that's available to you in this incredible build. It's safe to assume that the basic types of games that you would run on the system, things like Atari, Intellivision, ColecoVision, NES, SNES, Genesis, those sorts of things, they're all going to run just fine. So I'm going to focus on the big three in the contemporary era here to see how they perform. And that's going to be game systems from Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony. Alright, let's start out with Microsoft Xbox. Now I have to admit, I was skeptical that there was any way that this machine was going to be able to run emulated games from a box that ran at 733 MHz with its own GPU from the early to mid 2000s. After all, they only have one single game from the Xbox in this collection even listed there. That's not really a vote of confidence in my opinion. But let me tell you, I don't think you could have surprised me anymore if you'd have splashed me right in the face with a bucket full of ice water. As this build only includes one game, I only tested the one game that it came with, but it ran very, very well. If this one game is representative of how well Xbox can actually run on this system, then I'm convinced that future builds should include more OG Xbox games in them, because this was a real unexpected treat. Seeing as how the Xbox is the only contemporary Microsoft console represented here, let's go look at some Nintendo stuff, starting with N64. I love Super Mario 64, let's go ahead and launch that and see what happens. Wait just a minute, it went right back to the Batocera interface and never launched the game. Fortunately, this is an easy fix, and here's how it's done. Press the start button on your controller to pull up the Batocera main menu. From the list of choices in the main menu, use the D-pad to scroll down to Game Settings and select it with the B button on the controller to continue. It's the one on the far right. From the list of choices here, use the D-pad to scroll down until you see the listing for Per System Advanced Configuration and select it with the B button. All of the available systems in Batocera are listed here, so you'll need to use the D-pad to scroll down to Nintendo 64 and then select it with the B button. Do you see how emulator and all of these other settings are pre-configured to auto? That's what's causing the problem in N64. Select emulator and then you can choose specifically which emulator you wish to use. I found that the Libretto Parallel N64 emulator worked really well with this system. Select the emulator you want to use, then press the A button to go back until you get all the way back to the Libretto main menu, and then relaunch your game. Alright, let's try this again and see what we get. Yahoo indeed, because now these N64 games are working wonderfully well. With things now properly configured, I found that this build played these N64 games quite well with no significant slowdown on major titles like Super Mario 64. And all eligible stars are claimed through the glorious backflip. That's right. One of the games that can have a little bit of chop on a lesser emulator from time to time is Star Wars Rogue Squadron. In this instance, it performed very well, and it was a real pleasure to relive this game once again. But generally speaking, N64 emulation should be expected to work on a PC like this. What about something more challenging, like the GameCube? Super Mario Sunshine is my favorite Mario game of all time, and oh my did I ever want this game to run well on this PC. And while it does in fact boot up, load, and play, there's a lot of chop going on here, and it's most noticeable in the audio. It looks like this game in particular is just a peg above what this system can handle. But fear not, because all hope is not lost. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, for example, runs pretty darn well on this system. With only a few small hiccups here and there in audio and video, this game is eminently playable on this device. Take a close listen and you'll hear that the audio chop and distortion that was present in Super Mario Sunshine is non-existent in Wind Waker. Being able to play epic adventures like this one on GameCube on this device through emulation adds a whole new level of value. Hey, wasn't 3DS listed in that list of consoles that are supported? Sure is. And with some gentle tweaking in Batocera to choose the proper emulation and resolution settings for maximum performance, you can play games just like Pokemon here. Other than a few small skips in audio and video here and there, it actually plays exceptionally well. If you're a Pokemon fan, you're gonna dig playing these games on this system. If you're as big of a fan of the new Super Mario Bros. Series as I am, you're gonna find that these games play pretty well overall through this emulation. As best as I can tell, compared to the actual gameplay itself, it runs ever so slightly slower than the full-speed game on the 3DS, but it's really close. And there's no significant frame skip or audio skip going on here, which is really cool. Overall, I'd say 3DS emulation on this device has been pretty successful. Hey, remember seeing Wii as one of the choices on the wheel? Can this thing actually go as high as running Wii emulation? Only one way to find out. Let's load up Super Mario Galaxy and see what happens. Could this actually be working? It's looking for the Wiimote, which means it's actually trying to launch the game. Yeah, not so much. It's looking for the Wiimote's nunchuck, and since this comes with a PlayStation Xbox style controller, this one's a no-go. And about that Wii U listing for Mario Kart 8. What was it that Dr. Evil used to say? Oh yeah, I remember now.
How about no?
Well, it was worth a try. Switching gears to Sony consoles, let's take a look at the original PlayStation. I'm a huge fan of Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and it comes as no surprise that the PlayStation 1 can be easily emulated on this system with its specifications. Everything in Castlevania Symphony of the Night looks and sounds great. And if you're looking to relive your PlayStation 1 favorites on your big screen, this is a great way to do it. If playing PSP games on the big screen is your jam, I think you'll find this system up to the task. Yeah, I know God of War is kind of the gold standard for testing emulation suitability, but it's not on there, so here's Pac-Man. And you know what? It plays just fine as you think it would. And here's one of my favorite mobile video games of all time playing on the PlayStation Portable. Field Runners. It's a great game, and if you're into tower defense games, you're gonna love this one. It may start out easy, but once you get to playing it for a little while, you can build all kind of complex tower defense systems to fight off the Field Runners. And just like the other PlayStation Portable games on the list, it plays just as it should. I'd call PlayStation Portable emulation on this system a solid entry. Hey, I love Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast. Can I dare to hope that it will play on a PlayStation 2 emulator on this system? Hey, it actually booted up the PlayStation 2. This is just teeming with promise. Wow, this is amazing. I never expected this to happen. And yeah, I'm just messing with you. It didn't. Here's how it really played. Yeah, I sped that other clip up 350%. This was the actual performance outcome. An Intel Celeron-based system with 8 gigs of memory just isn't up to the task of playing this game. So maybe instead you fancy playing a round of Grand Theft Auto 3. Well, if you're going to play Grand Theft Auto 3 on this system, it's going to be more like Grand Theft Auto 3 Nursing Home Edition, because it too runs awfully slow. No matter whether you're trying to play Outrun or Grand Theft Auto 3, this PlayStation emulation is going to crash and burn. If the system can't play PlayStation 2 games, can we dare to hope it can play PlayStation 3 games? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's launch them and see what happens. Wait a minute, is it actually playing? The sound's not even chopping up much or anything? Kind of surprising. See, the thing is, PlayStation 2 is actually a very difficult system to emulate well. Now, whether or not you would consider a game that plays at this frame rate as playable or not, it's really a matter of individual preference. I would say no. But I will say props to this system and to the RPCS3 emulator for being able to play this game with any frame rate at all. Compared to those PlayStation 2 games, this game is actually more playable. But if you were looking to play some Kingdom Hearts through PS3 emulation, well, this one's here to dash your hopes. Unless you like to play your games like slideshows, this one ain't for you. And unless your thing is staring at Ridge Racer 7 stationary art while scrolling through the main menus, well, this one's not for you either. So in the end analysis, what do I think about the Kinhank Super Console Mini PC bundle? I think it's great. Think about it this way. We only looked at some of the heaviest hitting systems that are included in the 61,000 game 100 emulator plus bundle. Out of the 100 plus emulators that are included, close to 100 of them would play absolutely fine. Excluding the few systems that didn't run well or didn't run at all, there are probably close to 60,000 games that run at or near 100% emulation. In my book, that ain't too shabby. Then maybe consider this. How long would it take you to build up a collection of 2 terabytes worth of your favorite classic gaming system ROMs? Days? Weeks? Longer? Do you have 2 extra terabytes worth of storage to store all of these ROMs? Do you have the internet bandwidth to be able to download this much? You could literally pull that 2 terabyte hard drive out of the system, clone it, and extend its value across multiple computers, installing it internally or putting it in a USB to SATA case. And let's not forget what might be the most important benefit of all. This is also a Windows 11 64-bit PC that's internally expandable. So in answer to that question from 15 minutes and 49 seconds ago, I say yes. And you can save $90 with discount code BL90 at the 𝐘𝐕𝐄 website. The team over at 𝐘𝐕𝐄 are a fantastic group, and they're a supporter of the channel and the emulation and gaming scene we love. And in all of my dealings with them, they've had kind, courteous, and prompt customer service. You can grab your Kinhank Super Console Mini PC from 𝐘𝐕𝐄 at the link in the description and pinned comment. Be sure to check out this video shown on screen and linked in the pinned comment and description below next, and special thanks to these channel members for their ongoing support.